Hi, I'm Dennis. Welcome to the channel. I've been retired for about going on 5 years now, and I retired on just Social Security at 63 years old. And we've been able to make it work for 5 years. And I think there are a few keys that help us to live comfortably on Social Security. These are what I think they are. There's several factors. My Social Security isn't very large. It's about, I think my check is around $1,800 a month. So that's what we survive on a month. We don't have any payments. That was the one thing that made it workable for us. Our house is paid for. Our cars are paid for. We don't have any debt. We don't have any credit cards. So the only debt we have is the what would be taxes. And we filed for what's called the Homestead Act here. So I don't have to pay any state taxes, or property taxes, not state taxes, property taxes. So it's basically food, electricity, water, trash, things like that, internet. The other thing that I think makes it possible for us is that we moved out to a small village in Nebraska, and our town has less than 100 people, or somewhere around 100 people. And it's kind of separated from any larger cities. So we are a bit isolated. So the homes here aren't very expensive. And that's one of the reasons I came out here to begin with years ago, was to be able to afford homes. The home we're in now, we bought for about $54,000 and paid cash. That's where I had the advantage, is that when I was working, I was able to put some money into a 401k I was only there 7 years. So I was able to I put my maximum amount I could in, and it was matched. And so I was able to accumulate a little bit of money in 7 years. And I cashed some of that money out to buy the home. It's a longer story than that I'll get into in another video. We actually sold everything we had at the time and went RVing and lived in an RV for almost 4 years. So that's a whole nother story that I'll bring up later. But anyway, we moved back into a home here, obviously, and we paid cash for it. We sold our motorhome and bought a couple vehicles, and we paid cash for those. So everything has been paid for with cash. Now we don't have expensive newer cars. Both of our cars have over 120,000 miles on them, but we keep them maintained and try to keep them up to date with all of their maintenance and everything. I mean, you're going to have to pay for an occasional breakdown on a car that old. We just had a what is it called? A serpentine belt go out on our car, and that cost us more in towing than anything. But we had to have that repaired. But other than that, our expenses are fairly reasonable. Because we don't live near a large city, we don't eat out much. We don't eat out at all. We eat at home primarily. So that saves a lot of money. If you're not paying for fast food or going out to eat a lot, you save a lot of money that way. I grow a garden, which is behind me here. And in the summertime, we preserve a lot of that garden. A lot of tomatoes and cucumbers. Cucumbers don't really get preserved except into pickles. I eat a lot of stuff in the summer from the garden. I eat almost every day from the garden. Every lunch I eat from the garden. I usually either eat some beets, I'll roast them, some lettuce, or make a a salad. I'll take tomatoes and cucumbers and come up together and make a cucumber salad. Just most of my lunches are made from my garden here all summer long, which has the added benefit of keeping me thinner and healthier. I'm not eating a lot of fried food or a lot of heavy food, a lot of carbs or anything. I'm eating vegetables, and at least for that meal I do. And a lot of times it carries over into the evening in what I eat from the garden, and then preserving the garden, and we use it through the winter with sauces. I make a lot of tomato sauces and things like that, so that helps. We have only liability on our cars, so they are bundled together with the house insurance. That's our biggest expense every month, is insurance, believe it or not. And it's our biggest expense. I have Medicare now, not Medicaid. I have Medicare. That's how I do health insurance. When you get that when you turn 65. So, and I've been relatively healthy, thank goodness. I'm knocking some wood here. I've taken a lot of care in my recent years here in trying to eat better. And I don't exercise as much as I should. I got an e-bike and I want to get on that more, but here in the summertime it gets awfully hot. So that's a goal, is to get more exercise. I think it's important to keep yourself healthy when you get this old. No, not this old. When you get this mature. How about that? And we don't spend needlessly on things. We buy a few things now and then, and I do still have a little savings. So we have to pull for that occasionally for something we really want to buy or something. But we don't buy anything large. We don't make any really large purchases or do any large, elaborate vacations. It's not in our budget or our lifestyle. So we just realize we're not going to do that. If we're going to do some type of vacation, we do a driving trip where we'll stay within, a few hundred miles of home. So we don't live an elaborate lifestyle. We live a very, very simple lifestyle. We do watch our television. We have our shows. We do have the things like Netflix and stuff, and our TV and our internet. So we stay entertained in the winter, because it can be very cold here in the winter and very hot in the summer. But we live within our means, basically, and had most everything taken care of before we retired as far as expenses. We didn't carry over any debt or any car payments, things like that. That's the way we do it. Everybody's situation is different, I realize that. But if you're thinking about retiring and you want to do it earlier, like I did at 63, I wish that I'd done it even earlier than that. But I would say the thing that would help would be try to get your debt down to as little as particularly if you're going to retire on just Social Security. Now, if you've got some other income and some savings and things like that, you might not have to worry as much about, having no payments. But for us, that made it possible, and has made it. We live comfortably without any worries about making bills or running out of money or anything like that. What we are doing also is trying to do a few side things. My wife started an eBay business last year, and she's making a few bucks on that. Not a lot, but she's making a little bit of extra income, some spending money. And I'm dabbling in my art, and I've sold a few art pieces throughout the years, and that it's not a lot, but it's enough to pay a couple bills or buy some new paints, things like that. So anyway, that's the way we do it. And if you can retire early, I would recommend it wholeheartedly. The best thing I ever did was to leave my job when I did. I wished I'd have left it earlier. I was worried, like if any of you are out there are thinking, I was worried about not having enough money, running out of money, having to scrimp and do the things that I was just worried about money and not being able to enjoy the rest of my life, or having to go back to work somewhere, having to work, you know, at a fast food restaurant or something. Not to put that down or anything, but you know, I just didn't want to, at my age, have to go do that. So that was the fear. But so far, that's not been anything close to happening. But I think making sure you're in the right situation for your income bracket or whatever you have. You might not have to do what we did, move into a small home in a small town in the middle of Nebraska. You might not have to do that. If you've got more resources than we had, you might be able to live in a nice mountain area or something, or, you know, whatever you want if you set yourself up ahead of time. But for us, we didn't have very much. We had just limited resources. So this is the way we made it work for us. We used our limited resources and put ourselves in a situation where we can live comfortably. Not extravagant, but we're comfortable. And you end up adjusting to that. And you know what I've come to realize is that as I've aged, this is what I'm really happy with. I'm happy with a small home, a small backyard with my garden, the quiet of this area. There's no hustle bustle. When I come out here at night, it's just stars. You know, there's no city lights anywhere. And it's quiet. And there's no fear of crime. We don't have crime around here. Not much anyway. I know that it can happen anywhere. I know that. But, you know, we don't have that fear. I don't fear for break-ins or anything on a daily basis. I mean, you just don't, it doesn't occur to you. That's a nice feeling. And I mean, it's slow. So if you don't like slow and quiet, you might not like this. But whatever your situation is, you know, set yourself up for what you're comfortable with, and make it work. If you can, retire when you can, as soon as you can, because life's short, and you got to enjoy your time on this planet. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you find a way to make yourself happy in your retirement and live the life you want to live. My name's Dennis. Take care. Bye.